Peter Doocy from Fox News is really good at asking questions in these White House press briefings. And while instinctually we can tell how good he is, what is it that really makes him so effective? And why is he able to get Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, to crack so easily? Where it's just so obvious that she's lying and trying to weasel her way out of these questions. Here's how he does it so that you can use it in your life. So this was a press briefing from 2 weeks ago following some problems in New York with the illegal migrant crisis and Hunter Biden's embarrassing stunt on Capitol Hill where he defied his subpoena and refused to show up for his testimony that he was supposed to do. In one of my previous videos, I talked about the New York situation where the migrants were being housed at Floyd Bennett's Field in Queens and then transferred over to the nearby high school. I also talked about Hunter defying his subpoena, so you can go check out those videos if you want to learn more about the stories. But what I want to get into today is how the White House press secretary responded to these issues when Peter Doocy just burns her to a crisp. Before I get into it, if you're new to this channel, please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Your support goes a long way in building the Inverted World community. All right, so here's how Peter Doocy begins during the briefing, and I want you to pay close attention to how he frames the question.
First, a whole high school in New York is having remote classes today because the building was needed to house people who came into this country illegally. So what is the president's priority in this case? Is it the migrants or is it the students?
So you heard that right. What is the president's priority? Is it the migrants or the students? He is able to make the question difficult enough for her to answer by forcing her to decide between two different variables. You can't really have it both ways, so he knows how to set her up. Instead of just saying in broad terms, what do you think about the situation? This is actually the type of psychology I learned when I was a waiter, which can be applied to sales and marketing when you're trying to upsell an item to a customer. I used to work at an Indian restaurant and I would go to my table and say, "Welcome, can I start you off with a hot chai or a mango lassi?" Instead of just saying, "Can I start you off with something to drink?" Immediately, they are cornered into deciding between two items, and very often they'll pick one of them. So the same applies here. This is a great psychological tactic that Peter Doocy is using where he simplifies and contextualizes the question for the listener. This is why Trump is also a great communicator. He just says it like it is. He doesn't need to use a filter because he knows how to simplify the issue in a way that people can relate to.
They don't want to give it straight because the press are liars. They're terrible people.
So now this is how she responded.
So let me just clear this up a little bit. So yesterday, New York City informed us that as a precaution, they would temporarily relocate migrants staying at Floyd Bennett Field to a nearby high school. As of this morning, all migrants have returned to the facility at Floyd Bennett Field, and so anything specific as to the program and what decided to do, and all of the specifics to that, I would certainly refer you to New York City for any additional questions.
So what she's doing right here, she's not addressing where the Biden administration should be held accountable. It's just New York's problem, right? Yeah, well, New York wouldn't be in this mess if it wasn't for how the Biden administration is handling the border crisis. If they weren't making it so easy for migrants to be pouring into the country, New York wouldn't be having busloads of them come in every month.
It's really quite simple.
But if a working parent had to call out to stay home with their kid today, isn't this Biden immigration policy literally taking money out of people's pockets?
So let me just say, I'm going to actually go back to your first question for a second.
So she's not even going to address what Doocy just said there, that this is costing parents money. That's the real issue here. We know how the migrant situation is out of control, but how it's affecting everyday Americans, she's not going to discuss that.
You know, when it comes to education, migrants, the economy, the president deals with multiple issues all at once. That is his job. There are multiple things happening all at once.
Isn't that pretty obvious? I mean, I can see how effective Biden is. Yeah, not really. But isn't that the president's job, to be handling multiple things at a time? You can't justify anything with that type of a response.
That is something that New York City needs to answers to. That is a process that they took, so they have to answer to that. And as it relates to migrants and what's happening at the border, look, the president has taken this issue very seriously.
What the hell are you talking about?
very seriously by making sure that on his first day, which is almost 3 years, it'll be a couple weeks, it'll be 3 years ago that he put forward a comprehensive immigration legislation to deal with what's happening with the immigration process, obviously, and also the border.
Yeah, allowing 300,000 migrants to be crossing every month, having federal agents removed barbed wire at the border, and having Texas fight you on it. That sounds like a very comprehensive plan. But I guess none of that seems to matter because, according to Biden, he's done everything that he can do.
With executive authority, or is there more you could do? Not all I can do.
And this is an issue that's been going on for decades. The system has been broken for decades. And the president is the one who has taken action to deal with this while House Republicans do not.
Yeah, that's just an outright lie that doesn't make you look good at all. House Republicans are getting in the way. Oh, I love it.
And Hunter Biden on Capitol Hill today. How big of a headache is that for you?
Do you see what he's doing there? He's using compassion to get to her. How big of a headache is that for you? I'm sure it's a huge headache. Having to lie to people every day, I'm sure it's a migraine when your job is to cover up the disastrous effects of the worst president in American history. There is no doubt she goes to work every day absolutely hating life, and Peter Doocy is no stranger to that. He sees her struggle. That's why she's laughing, because she knows he's right.
Hunter Biden is a private citizen. He is not a member of the White House, as you know, and I just don't have anything else to share.
One thing is certain, they do not like to discuss Hunter at all. It's the big elephant in the room that they are desperate to avoid.
But the last time he was on the Hill, he said the president was certainly familiar with what his son was going to say.
I did say that, and here's
So
and what I'm saying today.
That President
What I'm
Biden
saying
does
to
not
you-
help him with his business deals, but he does help him skirt congressional subpoenas.
Whoa, he just hit the nail on the head right there. He couldn't have asked it in a better way, because obviously Joe is telling him exactly what to say.
That is not even true. That is a jump that is incredibly I will say to you,
Just tell
I
us
am
what the
helping you out.
president knew.
I'm helping you out. I don't have anything else to share.
Take a look at these photos, Karine. Is this someone who can make rational decisions on his own? Let's just take a moment here to honor the work that Peter Doocy is doing. Showing up to these press briefings each and every time is a remarkable feat. I highly respect him as a journalist, and since day one of Biden's presidency, he has been there every step of the way to keep this compulsive liar in check. I think there's a lot that we can learn from Peter Doocy, because whenever you get into these arguments with liberals, there's a way to frame your questions, or there's a way to talk to them on a level that they can relate to better. And sometimes it's not always about winning the argument in the ways that we always try. We have to sort of use a different psychology on them. So the next time that you're struggling to get through to liberals and a way to get them to see through the fallacies of their arguments, just learn from Peter. He's a master at it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Until next time, thanks for watching Inverted World.